Story we've got for you on Earth today. We also make you meet today the man who didn't just inherit a business but reimagined for the planet. Ved Krishna is our next guest on the program, who took his father's struggling paper company and turned it into a global leader in compostable packaging.
Right, so right from using sugarcane waste to power his factory with rice husk to building biodegradable tableware for giants like Haldiram's, Cafe Coffee Day, McDonald's. This is a story of purpose, not just profit. Let's go over to Ved Krishna ji. He's the Group CEO of Pakka Limited and he's with us this morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, morning. Thank you for having me.
Can we first ask you, Ved, if we can call you that, can we first just ask you a little bit about your story? Because this is a company that your father ran, first very successfully, and you had this moment, because you were abroad, you had this moment, you'd come back, you were managing the company, where you went, I want to change the focus of what we do. And you shifted the company from what it was doing, which was already packaging products, into making it this, eco-conscious packaging products. So tell us a little bit about what shaped you as a human being to make you want to do that.
Well, sadly you don't have an hour, but I'll make it short. So,
yeah, we don't.
But the fundamental idea was to try and find our purpose. So I did inherit a company from my father, and I only came in to help him. There was no other kind of agenda there. I didn't want to be part of this business. I was, again, like you said, I wasn't living in India. Came back and basically tried to run a pulp and paper company, tried to expand it, had big, hairy, audacious goals to make it a significant sized company, but I really pushed it into financial turmoil. And when you have that situation in life, when you don't know whether the business is going to run tomorrow or not, you tend to do a lot more self-reflection. And my wife would ask me, what would you do if there were no barriers in your life? And each time it was loud and clear that I would do something in service of the planet. And I realized, it's the alchemist idea that the pot of gold is right there and you don't see it. So I realized that we were in packaging, as you said, but we were having zero impact. And that's what put us in the trajectory of trying to find different solutions, mainly tackling, as you said in your introduction, two broad areas, which was how do you find a replacement for polystyrene or styrofoam or thermocol, as we call it in India. And that is basically because, again, it cannot be repurposed, downcycled, it'll become microparticles, break into small pieces, and it is a carcinogen.
Yeah.
And we did that relatively successfully in 2017-18 by introducing our brand called Chuck. And as you said, there are wonderful customers who work with it now. And then the idea was the multi-layered packaging, which is actually, we don't realize that, when we go for poly bags, we actually ban the poly that we are carrying stuff in. But if you peep inside it, you'll see chocolates and crackers and chips, and these are in multi-layered packaging.
Yes.
These won't go away. And, you can imagine when you eat a piece of potato chip, it tastes as fresh as it would have when it was manufactured 6 months back. And that's because of the packaging. So the challenge is that the packaging doesn't allow moisture or air to go in. But what also happens is that it doesn't break down. So it means it's not going to go away for 100,000 years at least. And the first one was made maybe 50 years back. So the first one has 99,950 years to go. And we just open it and eat it and throw it, right?
Yeah.
So it's that simple. So we started working on that and commercialized our first chocolate packaging last year. And that's our big, hairy, audacious goal now, that by 2030, we should be producing about 500,000 tons of that material.
Okay.
Wow. Ved, you really hit the nail on its head when you talk about it's not just the fancy bags that you carry and think that you're doing something for the planet. It's everything that you consume that comes with it. So tell us a little bit about this product. How are you ensuring that the product remains all right? You're also, if I'm not wrong, made from agri-waste and fully compostable and plastic-free. So how's that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So Pakka has 4 broad promises. And when we do our innovations, we kind of literally do not move beyond that idea, which is basically all our products have to be home compostable, not industrially compostable, because there are no industrial compostable sites in India, at least, and very few around the world. So the idea is that if it does get thrown, it must decompose, and it must decompose in relatively short periods. The second promise is that it must be downcyclable. We call it recyclable, but actually there is no such thing as recyclable. But it must be downcyclable in a paper stream. So paper gets collected about 70 to 80%. Polymers, petroleum polymers, or plastics get collected about 7 to 8%. So there's a huge difference between that, and that's fundamentally because of economic value.
Yes.
The third and the fourth promises are marine and terrestrial safe. So if an animal was to eat our product, it should not harm them. And the same thing for marine life. So yes, all our products right now are made from sugarcane residue. We love the stuff. It would have been burnt otherwise. All our energy is made from rice husk. We recover 95% of our chemicals. All our wastewater gets first converted into methane, used for powering our projects, and then is treated and then taken out. So various things that our amazing teams do.
You're also off the energy grid, I believe, right? Entirely. We'll talk about that in a second. Wait, we'll just get to that. But before that, I just want to ask, I know that you also sell your products to the US. And you're actually, you're working with huge companies there. McDonald's, for example. I just want to ask you, what has the American story versus the Indian story been like? How more accepting or less accepting are companies there versus here? What are the advantages to the way Indian companies work with you? Break it down for us.
Sure, absolutely. And so the Indian companies have been very surprising. And you talked about Haldiram, and I remember literally them taking the initiative that, we want to shift. And that's been huge. There is this desire in people to shift. The global companies are driven more by their promises. Now they face their own challenges, right? So if you look at a Unilever, who we work with closely, they have a small shampoo sachet that is 2 rupees, and it gets opened, used, thrown. And that's a huge challenge for them. But if they are to replace that, they need 16,000 tons of material. So just for that one shampoo sachet. So it's a huge challenge for a company like that, to find replacements. So we as a company are working hard along with various others. We are working on building factories in Latin America region, trying to service that US market, because it's a challenge if you're going to even transport stuff from India to US, because it's a 2-month cycle and you're spending so much fuel in transportation. So we want to nearshore everything. So each market that we go for, we want to be very near that. So again, taking huge steps. We come from a very small region. I personally born and brought up in Ayodhya, which is well known now, wasn't when I was growing up. But the idea is that how do you build impact? And we feel that we can only do it through scale. And of course, it needs deep partnerships, alignment with customers. But fundamentally, everybody is looking for change.
What a wonderful story.
The other change, the other C of change is actually the cost, which is where all businesses and decision making will really come down to. So Ved, how are you working on that? Because a lot of green solutions, some really cool innovation, like I met somebody the other day who made plastic that could dissolve in water. But again, doesn't have, the scale to do it. Accessibility is an issue. Cost is an issue. So what are you doing at your end to actually make it reach every house?
No, absolutely. And it does boil down to that. Every discussion in the end across the table is, okay, what is the price? So we find that there is a sweet spot for customers, and that's 20%. So typically a packaging cost for any material is 5 to 6% of the total cost. And if you are able to bring it within 20%, they get enough brand value to be able to shift. And of course, the first dharma of packaging is to perform, right? It has to protect what is inside. If it doesn't do that job, no cost is, whether it's even cheaper, it doesn't help. So the first job for a packaging company is to follow its dharma, protect what is inside. And the next is, of course, make it as economic as possible. So for us, that has been the target, stay within 20%, so that the price discussion goes off the table. And it's only the performance discussion, because that's more joyous, right? How do you perform with a natural material to the extent of an inorganic material that doesn't breathe? So if you realize, all of us are very well packaged, our own skins, and then the bananas and the oranges and the coconuts and, everything you look around. And but what happens is that everything breathes. As soon as we die, our packaging dies too. And that's the fundamental challenge for us. So everything we do is nature inspired. We work on, and nature is very straightforward and simple. Everything is made out of two building blocks. It's either sugars or proteins, which is basically amino acids and carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And then how do you take that and build it into systems, things, collaborations to be able to enable that product to emerge, which will at least not breathe or not breathe too much for a long time so that it actually disintegrates.
It's called biomimicry, and I really wanted us to talk a little bit more about that because you touched on it.
Yeah.
And it is such a cool concept when when companies and inventors try to look at the way nature grows, the way, as you said, a lemon peel covers a lemon, a banana peel protects a banana. It is really, really incredible. Ved, thank you for joining us, and thank you for just shining a light on
and
this.
great stuff, and gives us great pride to see how Indian companies are actually making this kind of impact and innovation and taking the product to the world as well. So really cool stuff. Very inspiring Earth's Day morning, I must say. Yeah.
Very much so. All right, we're going to move on though now to something.